Are you stuck? How about unhappy? Join Alena Chapman, author, mentor, and life coach for Magical Moments with Alena as she challenges you to get out of the doldrum and start living your life to the fullest. In just 60 minutes, Alena will help you take control of your life and push you to do the things you never thought you'd do. So get ready to take back your power and celebrate life with Magical Moments featuring Alena Chapman.
Welcome to Magical Moments, and I'm your host, Alena Chapman. And isn't it time for ease and betterment in our lives? Don't we deserve that? Yes, we do. So I have a magical nugget for you, which I think if you follow it and if you at least become aware of it, you're going to find a massive betterment in your life. Doesn't that sound awesome? Okay, here's my magical nugget for you today. If someone is angry and making you angry, or even better yet, anyone who no one can make you feel, let's put it this way, it's much better. No one can make you feel inferior or angry or frustrated except you. Okay? And when you're saying, what do you mean, Alena? Well, the thing is, folks, we are responsible for our own actions and our words and our thoughts and our beliefs. We're responsible for us. And do we really want it another way? No, I don't. I don't want somebody else being responsible for me. It sounds ideal, but I lose my freedom. But freedom means we have to own it all, not just part of it. So when someone says, hey, or when someone trips me up, maybe tries to put me down subtly, okay, I can allow it to happen and feel inferior, or I can say, whoa, what is going on here? No way, Jose. I'm not going to allow myself to feel that way. I got a lot going for me here. And maybe you don't realize it, but it's going. Do you see? You need to own yourself. And when you do, then no one else can make you feel anything you don't want to feel. Sometimes, when someone is making us very angry, or their behavior really kind of, I don't know if I can say it on radio, but pisses us off, that might get bleeped. When that happens, that is that wonderful time that, remember with Sam Lipowitz, we were talking about just being with ourselves. That is the perfect time for us to sit down with a wonderful hot cup of tea, if that's your choice, in your favorite chair, or under that big, wonderful willow tree that just loves you, and say, why did that affect me so? And allow yourself to just get quiet. And before you know it, well, first you'll go through because they did this and because they did that. You will have that. But peel back that onion. Be persistent. Relax and let it just come. And it will open up. And all of a sudden, it'll be, oh, because I don't feel good enough in what I was doing. Or something. And this is the power of it. If you have the courage to be vulnerable with yourself and learn those lessons, then once you get to the I, then you have the power to change it. You have the power to be anybody that you want to be. But you have to be vulnerable and courageous to even open up to it. So, as we're going into this holiday season, And since we've been so cloistered in our little homes because of this corona stuff, we're going to start getting out into the world again. And even with these holidays, we're getting with people. And so there's going to be triggers. So right now, find that place in your house that you're going to sit and start discovering you. Find that favorite little cup of tea or cup of coffee you want to have while you do this, or maybe candles. Make it special. Treat yourself to this. It'll be easier for you to have that courage then and that wonderful feeling, and open up inside and say, wow, I didn't realize I felt that way. Do I want to feel that way, or do I want to let it go? And now you've got a powerful, positive change in your life that helps you for the better. Just remember, no one can make you feel any way that you don't want to feel. Isn't that a fantastical, magical nugget? That can take years of self-development, and we just solved it in, 5 minutes? All right. I have a wonderful guest who is going to help us to tap in. And you know, I love to tap in. So, and also, she is one of the most beautiful people. You're going to just love her. I have loved her since the first day I met her. So you're going to enjoy her so much. In 2012, Allison co-founded Family Foot Reflexology. That is one thing I have not done. So that's very cool. After getting her foot zoning certification, okay, she traveled throughout the U.S. teaching people about chakras, meridians, and reflexology. Allison introduced the art of foot zoning to several states in America after publishing a comprehensive energy and reflexology manual. She also certified practitioners throughout the nation in her program that she developed. She also became a certified Reiki master. That's one thing Allison and I have in common. She has facilitated energy training workshops around America and was featured on several podcasts and shows before helping to launch the Influencers channel on Voice America. That's her own show. And she hosts also this radio show called Spotlight on there. And the Allison H. Larsen show. I think it's Spotlight, the Allison H. Larsen show. Correct, Allison?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then Allison also hosted a cable TV show by the same name in Southern California from 2015 to 18. All right, and now in 2016, she's been very busy. Allison launched the Speakers Coalition, followed by Speakers House Publishing in 2018, to help healers, speakers, and influencers make a greater impact on the world. She has also held Women of Influence Masterminds and Leader of Influence Masterminds. Now that's funny, guys, because that's how I met her, was with the Women of Influence Masterminds. It was a wonderful time with beautiful, beautiful women in New York. I enjoyed it so much. Allison has been the recipient of multiple awards, including Most Influential Person in Speaking, presented by Les Brown, and the Most Valuable Influencer Award, presented at the City Summit in Burbank, California. She has been blessed to interview multiple celebrities on red carpets at venues such as the Walt Disney Concert Hall and the Wishman movie premiere in Phoenix, Arizona. Yes, I wanted to go to that, which she sponsored through the Speakers Coalition. She has so much, guys. We can talk and talk and talk, but I want to get her on. She's such a wonderful person. And hello, Allison.
Hello. Thank you so much, Alena. I appreciate being here so much. And I love the advice that you gave at the beginning of the show. I just want to reiterate that it is so important. And as you were talking about just grabbing your favorite drink and finding this cove in your house, oh my goodness, my whole soul was screaming out, yes. And I love that you just gave us permission all to do that. So I am going to do that later today. I'm going to grab my favorite tea and I'm going to find my favorite cove and I'm going to take some time for myself because it's so important. So thank you for that beautiful advice and that reminder.
It's funny when we do any kind of, we take this hard attitude when we try to heal ourselves or to get deeper within ourselves or to connect to divine. We think we have to be like so strict and so and really it's loving yourself that really opens up everything. Don't you find that?
Yes. And I want to say too, I mean, you are such a successful woman and you're helping so many people. And I love that you would give that advice. I remember reading something once, and it was an interview that somebody had done with the Dalai Lama. And they asked the Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama is healing the whole world. He is doing some incredible and amazing things. And he's got so many people that want his attention and his time. And so this interviewer asked him, he said, what do you do on your busiest days? What do you do on your busiest days? How do you handle that? You're so busy. There's so many people that want to connect with you. And he said, on my busiest days, get this, I meditate 2 hours instead of 1. On my busiest days, I meditate 2 hours instead of 1. And he went on to explain that it's by connecting to himself and to source, to God, that he is able to best serve the world. And I think it can be so easy, especially around the holidays, even if you aren't in business, even if you're just wanting to connect or do things with your family, it can be so easy to get caught up in the busyness.
So fast.
And to lose your connection to yourself and your connection to source. And that's where the greatest insights come. That's where those moments of inspiration on who you need to connect with or how you can impact the world or even just the people in your world. It's in those moments of stillness. So just such powerful advice again this morning.
Yeah, thank you. It is funny how we think. What do you think about people who kind of wear that busyness as a badge? Have you known anyone like that?
Yeah, I've known someone intimately like that. Every time I look in the mirror, I see her. I used to feel that way.
Me too.
When I graduated from a 20-year marriage a few years ago. I just recently got remarried last month.
Congratulations.
And to my soulmate. Oh, it's so wonderful. But I remember, during this marriage, which was to a wonderful man, and then it was just time for us to both move on. But I remember being at this point in my life where I had 4 young kids. I had 4 kids within a span of just 5.5 years. So my oldest daughter she was still 5. She wasn't even 6 yet when I had my 4th child. And I was a busy mom. I had this life in this house, and I always thought, wow, importance is linked to busyness. The busier I am, the more important I am. And I remember at the end of a day, of this long day, or even just maybe not at the end, maybe in the middle, in the afternoon, I would be so exhausted and I'd lay down for a nap. And if my husband would come home early and I would hear the door open, I remember I would jump out of bed and I would think, I can't let him know that I'm napping. I've got to be doing laundry or something to make me feel busy and look important. So he thinks that I'm a good wife, and this was in me. This wasn't in him. It was in me.
That's how a lot of women feel. Yeah. I have 3 boys and I felt the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if I was doing something that must meant I was important. But what I've learned is it's not in the doing, it's in the being.
Yes.
It's not what I'm doing, it's who I am. And it's taken me years to learn that. So when you say, do I know somebody like that? Yes. She was me.
It's
10 years ago.
Quiet. It's in the quiet moments when, my gosh, if you don't factor those in, well, number one, just being. I always promote that because just be. Where I decided that I was going to make that my way of being was when I watched Eat, Pray, and Love.
Oh, I love that show.
I know. Elizabeth Gilbert. And when she was in Italy and she got even that nice negligee that she liked, and she made her tray up with the asparagus and the egg, and she went and sat in the sun and just be.
Oh.
And when we do that, that's respecting ourselves. That's honoring ourselves. And oh my gosh, ideas flourish then. It's any time that you become totally present with love for yourself, love what you're doing, then ideas flourish. But then to also do the meditation where you really connect and that's when we are the most effective. That's when and we can present our whole selves, not just that incredible busy doing and also kind of mindless at times, sometimes, like, no, I'm not always thinking when I do the laundry.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too that you mentioned that movie. And here's one thing that I really took away from that movie, and I think it goes along with what we're saying, is I remember rewatching that movie right after my divorce. And I was going through an identity crisis because I had linked also my importance not only to busyness, but I linked it to these titles or these labels that I put on myself, like I'm a good wife, so that means I'm a good person, or I'm a good mom, so that means I'm a good person. And suddenly when I got divorced, this identity of being a wife and this identity of being this mother with a partner of a husband and this family life, that was stripped from me.
Yeah.
And I found myself thinking, am I important now? I was basing my worth on a title. And I remember watching that movie and thinking, that's not who I am. Who I am is not a wife or a mother. That's just what I've been doing. And I'll always be a mother, but I'm not a wife right now. And that doesn't change who I am. That doesn't make me less of a person or less important. It's just what I've been doing. And so that's another thing too that I've just learned. And I had this experience, Elaine. Usually I don't go this deep this quickly, but because I know you, because my gosh, my intuition is screaming to me to share this, so I will.
Okay.
I was in this place of deep meditation. It was just about 6 or 7 months ago. It was recently, it was in the past year. And I was deep in this meditation. And in this meditation, I had this really painful experience that ended up being a gift. And during my meditation, all of a sudden, I pictured myself, a version of myself there in front of me. And I pictured all the people in my life that I thought had loved me as abandoning me. I saw my kids, saying, hey, I don't love you. And my clients not being there. And even my partner saying, okay, I don't accept you, or I don't love you. And in that moment, it was so painful to think of nobody loving me. But in that moment, I had a choice. Would I still love myself, even if nobody did? Would I still choose myself, even if nobody else did? And in that moment, for the first time ever in my life, I said yes. And there was such a freedom in that. And suddenly I knew what Maya Angelou was talking about when she said, it's when you belong nowhere and to no one that you belong to yourself, and you belong everywhere. And suddenly I didn't need acceptance from other people anymore. I got it. I didn't need love from other people, even though I got it. I had everything that I needed within myself. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful gift. And I think going back to what you said in the beginning, it's in those moments when we sit in the quiet corner of our house and we get our favorite drink and we just love ourselves, that we realize that that's the only person's love that we really need. And until we find the love of ourselves, we really can't truly and fully accept the love from people around us.
That's very big, and it's so incredibly true. Oh, Allison, thank you for sharing that. That is that is absolutely beautiful. And I really think that, it is so important for people to understand, because when we do love, we put our number one. I got rid of labels too, because I wasn't, just like you. I was stripped. I was stripped of I was a mom still. I have 3 boys. You have 4. 3 and 4 is a very slim difference. And the busyness, but I was stripped of also the whole where I was in society. I was stripped. All my friends were gone. My life was turned upside down, and I really had to. And my career was ruined in music because I never finished what I needed to finish to get to where I needed to go, because I started having kids. I made my motherhood first. So going back into that wasn't really working. Everything I had worked since I was 15 was gone. And I really had to do that. I really had to come to that. Now, I have to say, I didn't get to do it in a meditation quite as beautifully as yours was. But I really had to sit down and say, and it was gradual. And guys, sometimes it is gradual. But I love when we get those epiphanies. Those are, oh God, those are gold. But when you have to just do it even slowly, I had came around to that. I mean, did it make me less of a person not to have those certain friends? Did it make me less of a person that I couldn't do the music like I wanted? Did it make me less of a person? Was I really a musician? Well, not really. I did music, but I wasn't a musician. You have to start seeing, and but it's so amazing when you take away all those labels. There's that incredible freedom. It's a freedom.
It so is. And, one of the things that I talk a lot about is intuition. I wrote the book Soul Intuition. I've spoken on stages, and I've learned that there are a couple of things that really keep us from really accessing those answers within us and those intuitions. And one is our link to our identity, right? We feel like our importance is based on what we've done, or our importance is based on what we have. So when we base our importance on what we've done,
Society does that.
Well, true. And here's the third thing. When we give other people the power to say whether we're worthy or not. So when we link our own importance to what we've done, when we link our own importance to what we have, or when we give that power to other people to tell us whether or not we're worthy or important, those are the three things that will block you from accessing your intuition. And not only your intuition, but into this universal intuition, this plan that's out there for all of us to be that conduit of divine light and love is blocked by those things. Those are blockers to that. So
why do you say that? And why do you say that?
Why do I say that?
Yeah.
I've experienced it. I've experienced it. But here's why. It's because, have you ever had that moment where you just feel so inspired to do something or to say something to somebody, but then you get this fear? You become afraid, well, what are they going to think of me? Right?
Yes. What are they going to think of me?
Yeah. What are they going to think of me? Or
side of you.
Or sometimes when we have these labels that we place on ourselves to make us important, sometimes when the universe or the God has a greater calling for us, we hesitate to let go of those labels, because what labels are our perception based on our past experiences of who we should be. So to me, going back to that story of my divorce, being a good mom meant that I was married to a man. It meant that I was to stay at home with my kids. Those were things that were being a good mom. So when I started feeling this calling to do something more, when I started feeling this calling to step into alignment with my purpose and my power on this world to help other people in their healing, I was so hesitant to do it. I couldn't follow that intuition very strongly because I thought, I can't do this. I can't be a good mom and work at the same time. Yeah. And when I started feeling called to graduate from this 20-year marriage, I held on to it for years more than I should have, because of this label, and I was being called to something greater. And little did I know, and I'm not saying divorce is for everybody. I'm not saying if you're struggling in your marriage, you should get divorced. This is not what I'm saying. But for me, in my personal experience, I had no idea the universe had this amazing soulmate. God had prepared this man perfectly for me that is now my partner in my mission. He helps me to be a greater version of myself. And he was just out there waiting. And it wasn't until I had to let go of those other things. You see, here's the thing. We're afraid of dying. But the fact is, we're dying all the time. You're either letting your dreams die, or you're letting your old perceptions die. There is no growth in the comfort zone. Joe Dispenza says we cannot grow and feel comfortable at the same time. And those
No.
labels are what provides us with this comfort and these restrictions or rules that we've placed, these imaginary rules, right, that we place
Oh,
on
they
ourselves.
are imaginary rules. It's funny. We grow up with perceptions. It's funny. I have 3 boys, and one of the hardest concepts, which I don't understand how they gained it, because I've been many things. I have changed careers 3 times, because the music was early, could not finish that doctorate, could not advance where I needed to be a full-time professor. You know what I mean? So that was not a stable income. Then we would go on and building a business just so that I could stay home. Found out I was good with textures and colors of plants. I could design a sustainable, wonderful garden like that. And Fort Wayne and the city of Indiana, the state of Indiana, grabbed hold of me because I was so good at it. And I just designed. But okay, fine. But that wasn't enough for my soul. And I remember they were even with me when I decided to write a book. And Allison, that was the scariest thing, because I didn't think I was a writer. And when someone said, "Oh, you, this is a book. Your journal is a book. You need to write it," I really had to think twice, because I didn't take writing. I write little stories, and I was good at poems, but writing a book, you know what I mean? I said, I'm a musician. I'm this. I'm not a writer. That's where I had to take away the label in order to have the freedom. Now, my boys who are growing up in the school system and everything, they keep thinking, well, Mom, once you're in a career, you're in a career. I said, hello. I have changed, hon. You're going to find that you're going to change. And that's the thing. We're living longer. We're more productive longer. We are going to change all the time.
You're listening to Magical Moments with Alena Chapman, helping you find your inner purpose. Learn more online at soulmanifesto.com.
All right. Labels on ourselves of who we are and what we have to do because we're trained in it, or what we have to do because that's what we have to do, is really heavy and not needed.
Well, and labels will limit us. Like you totally were so attached to the label of musician that it was hard for you to transition it. And it's just, here's the thing. And we do this so much more in America than in other countries. Our importance when we meet somebody, what's one of the first questions we asked?
What do you do?
What do you do, right? And how do we answer? Well, I am a blank.
Yeah.
Well, here's was a game changer for me.
Okay.
First of all, I stopped asking those questions. What do you do? I started asking the question, who are you? Or what do you want me to know about you? And then when I answered those questions of, if somebody asked me, well, what do you do? Or who are you? I started answering with this. Instead of saying, I am a speaker, I am an author, I am a mother, I started answering with things like, well, I am a creator. I am a divine conduit of unconditional love. Now, it takes some people aback a minute. They're going, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. But it's almost like when we ask that question, it's almost like a formality. Like, what do you do? Yeah. It's like, we don't really care what somebody does. And if we do, we shouldn't. That's not who they are. So just really fascinating. And I want to go back to, I feel really strongly to go back to this idea too with this labels, because it all ties in of the doing versus the being, right? The doing versus the being.
Totally.
And here's one thing that I keep seeing over and over and over again is I have people coming to me, I have people posting on Facebook things. I see so much with the drama of the elections and with the craziness of COVID. People are asking, do I even matter? Does my vote matter? Does my voice matter? Does who I am even matter? And I want to share something with you because I think this is fascinating too. It's the difference between doing and being, because sometimes people think, well, if I'm not doing something big, then I don't matter. If I'm not being super vocal and doing, crazy big things in the world, then nobody's going to listen to me and I'm not going to make an impact. Right?
Very sad. Yep. Yeah.
Well, here's the secret.
I hear that
Yeah.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? It's actually gotten worse. Isn't that funny? The time when they could be reflecting in their homes and stuff, instead people are closing up. And the election and not feeling your vote counts, another closing up inside yourself. And they feel small. They feel very small.
Yes, and here's something fascinating. So I want to first share an experience, and I want to share some statistics with you because this blew my mind. So I was feeling this way not so long ago, like just last month. I was feeling this way. I got overwhelmed. I'm not going to lie. I don't usually watch the news. It makes me depressed. And I had been in a place where the news was on. I was hearing all these things. I was like, I had some friends that got COVID and they were calling me and they were sick and they were in fear. And I felt overwhelmed. I thought, what can I even do in this world? What can I do? How can I help? How can I make a difference? And so I did what you talked about in the beginning, and I turned into this moment of stillness. And the answer I got was that the children in the orphanage I visited in Nepal earlier in the year, just before COVID broke out, that they were the ones that had the answer. And I thought, well, that's odd. Why would they have the answer? And I dove deeper into this meditation. I just want to share this experience with you. We, through our programs, we run these spiritual adventure retreats where we take our clients, small groups of our clients, to different parts of the world. And we immerse ourselves in the culture and we meditate and we pray and we have adventures and we push our comfort zones and we let go of our labels. And it's incredible. And one of the things we had done is we took a group to Nepal. And my husband, Gerald, he had been invested in this orphanage. In 2013, there was a terrible earthquake in Nepal and many buildings were destroyed and an orphanage had been destroyed there. And his brother, Clint, had been helping to fund and doing some funding with this orphanage. And he called Gerald and said, Gerald, this orphanage needs help. We need to build a new building. So Gerald, through his program, raised some money and Clint raised some money. And they went and they built this new building. And so they already knew the orphans. I'd never met them, but we were going to meet them. And Gerald said, these are incredible kids, going to love them. But I'll never forget, we pulled up to the orphanage in this bus. And there were several of us were Americans. There were some people from England, some people from Australia and Canada. And we pulled up to the orphanage feeling like, or at least I felt like, I had so much to give these kids. I had so many more resources than they did. I had greater impact than they did. I had more knowledge than they did. And I remember pulling up to the gate, and there were 36 children living in the orphanage at the time, from ages from 2 to 18. These kids had 2 pair of clothes if they were lucky, 2 pair of underwear. They had a Crocs that they all shared, the shoes Crocs. So sometimes you'd see the little 3 or 4-year-old walking around in these huge Crocs because they just all shared them. But we drove up to this orphanage and I thought, I'm going to be such a gift to these children. I'm going to be able to give them so much.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And I walked in and I learned very quickly that they were my teachers. I was met with complete unconditional love. I'd never experienced that in a group of people before. These kids had no inhibitions, no judgments. The younger ones couldn't even speak English, but they came right up and they hugged us and they welcomed us in. And that night we had a dance party with them and we dressed in these traditional clothes that we had brought. And the kids, I remember standing over to the side watching people dance and watching the kids, and we were just having a great time. And I was kind of observing at the side. And these 2 little girls, about 7 and 8, came up. And they couldn't speak English, but they saw that I was standing aside and they grabbed my hand and started dancing with me. And that night we had brought sleeping bags to sleep on the floor, but no, the kids said, no. And the girls took their mattresses off their bunk beds and laid them on the floor so we women would have a comfortable place to sleep, and they slept on the hard slats. And the boys gave up their beds and slept on the floor, and they shared their food with us, which consisted of 2 meals of lentils and rice. And they just showed us so much unconditional love that by the time I left, after spending just over 24 hours there, I was in tears. And I thought, how is this the answer? And this is what I've learned. Those kids impacted my life forever. And they didn't have money. They didn't have impact. In fact, one of the boys, we were sharing our dreams. He said his big dream was to someday have an Instagram that had at least 100 followers. That was like his big dream, because they didn't have impact. Some of them couldn't even speak our language. So they didn't have this great knowledge they could share. But what did they have? They had the willingness to give everything they did have. And they had love to give us.
Love.
And I thought that is the answer.
It is.
Every single person can give love. Now, here's the statistics to back that. Dr. David Hawkins, who wrote Power versus Force and then In the Eye of the Eye, you might be familiar with him.
Yes,
He was the one that did this research on the emotional scale and found that emotions actually have frequencies. And of course, like love and gratitude radiate at this high frequency and guilt and shame are at this low frequency. But he went on to do more research. And he found through his research of the vibrational frequencies and emotion, I won't go into all the science now. Look it up, though. It's fascinating. But what he found out was that there's actually things such as counterbalancing, meaning that, you know, if you're in positivity, you counterbalance someone's negativity. But because the frequency of these positive emotions is so much higher, did you know that one person resonating in non-judgment, that frequency that counterbalances one person's frequency vibrating in non-judgment counterbalances the frequency of 90,000 people vibrating in guilt and shame and hate. 90,000. Wow. Now get this.
Even I didn't know that. That's cool.
A person resonating in unconditional love counterbalances 270,000 people that are resonating in fear and hate and guilt.
Wow.
So did you know that just by deciding to resonate in love and non-judgment and doing nothing else, just by being love and non-judgment, the frequency that you're emitting is counterbalancing the negativity of 270,000 people. You don't have to do anything.
No.
You just have to be that love. And can you imagine, Alena, if enough people were resonating at that frequency of unconditional love? We're actually doing a retreat right now as I talk with you. And we did the math yesterday. We have 39 people at the retreat. And so we did the math. If those 39 people resonated in unconditional love, we were counterbalancing the negative frequency of something that was like 3.5 million people. 3.5 million people. So I want everybody that's listening to hear right now that you are making a difference and that you do matter.
Of course.
Just by being love.
Just by being love. Just by being love. And that's being love, not being loved. Yes. But that helps too. But it has to start. I mean, I love that. I know from my own experience that if you are that love, you can actually, in your just one, because I've done it, you can change the mass consciousness of everyone around you.
Yes.
Just by being you and love. That's it. You can change the whole coffee shop you walk to, the whole grocery store, the whole street that you're on, the whole city that you're with. You, little old you, can do all that just by being love.
Yeah, and in this age of COVID too, I do want to say that you don't even have to leave your house to do it. That's the amazing thing. No. You can influence everybody around you, but just by being love in your home, even if you have nobody else around you, you are counterbalancing the frequency of those negative people.
It's amazing. And people don't understand that, but it's humongous. And it's, I don't know, we don't teach that enough. We really should teach that, because I think then people would feel how important they truly are in this world. And every single one of us is a gem. We are a gem. And I also feel that if we just understood that we are here to experience, we are not here to make a giant splash unless we want to, but we are here to experience, to create love and experience, just to taste, just to try, just to open our hearts more, just to experiment. When we think that way, oh my gosh, the freedom you feel, and all of a sudden you start to understand your true purpose as a soul here on this earth.
Yes.
It's that simple. It's not hard. It's not hard to understand. It's just, it seems so simple, and yet it's probably the most profound way of living that that anyone could ever do.
Well, and here's another really interesting thing as I pondered this and researched this, and here's what else I found out. This was so fascinating to me. Did you know that when you do an act of kindness towards somebody, this can be a text, it can be going. Gerald and I the other week we were in Phoenix, and we were inspired by a post that somebody made on Facebook to buy an extra blanket at the store when we were there. And that night we went and found somebody that was sleeping on the street in Phoenix. He didn't even wake up, but we just covered him with this beautiful, warm blanket. And did you know that when you do an act of service, whether it be, going and finding someone sleeping on the street, or whether it be sending someone a text, or whatever the act of service is, did you know that when you do that, it releases a little dose of serotonin into your brain and into your gut? Now, serotonin in your brain, this is what antidepressants work to do. They work to increase the serotonin in your brain to make you feel happier. And
Right.
serotonin in your gut increases your immune system. So research has found that when you do an act of kindness, you're happier and healthier. Now, it doesn't stop there. The person receiving the act of kindness also gets a dose of serotonin released in their brain, and they feel happier and healthier. And the person observing the act of kindness also gets that dose of serotonin in their brain and their gut. I remember a few weeks ago, one of our friends that was suffering with COVID, and she was just in fear. She wasn't that sick, but she was really distraught. And we had two of our younger kids with us that night. And we just stopped at the grocery store and we got flowers, and we left them on her front door. And then we called her. We pulled the car out of the driveway, all the windows were up, and we were on the phone with her, and we watched her face as she opened the door and saw the flowers and just started crying. It was in so much gratitude. And the next day, my our little daughter, Addie, who was 7 years old, came to me and she said, I had such a good feeling in my mind. It made me feel so good when I saw that woman receiving flowers yesterday. And to me, I thought, oh my goodness, I just, that act of service, when we do act of service, the people around us are affected too. And when you do an act of service, you're helping yourself be happier and healthier. You're helping the person that you're serving to be happier and healthier, and you're helping the people that are observing that. Could you imagine? What if we flooded Facebook with our acts of service instead of with our complaints?
That would be such a wonderful idea. Instead of our complaints, instead of our anger, instead of our criticism, do it with the acts of service we do. It's a whole movement. It really is.
And putting that blanket on that homeless, he didn't even wake up, but no. I felt so good.
Yeah. And that's what matters, because, and when he wakes up, he will be overjoyed, so he will get it later. He still gets that serotonin.
Yeah. And
I shared that with something like that in New York too. Not the blanket, but I did with bananas. And I'll tell you with the stories, I still think I received more than they did because their stories just touched my heart. So it's in the act of service. That's unconditional love, folks, by the way. Yeah. When you do an act of service, you are actually entering into unconditional love, which is a very big concept, and it's very hard to achieve without the acts of service. So when you do service, all of a sudden your heart opens and doubles 3 times its size. It's like when the Grinch's heart opened up.
Yes.
Heart will open up just like that. And that is, there's just not enough said about it or done, and yeah, it is. If we all did acts of service, and I'm talking more than just giving money to the person on the street. I mean, why not offer them a job? Why not help them to get really on their feet? You know what I mean? Why not help in soup kitchens, humane society? Right now, soup kitchens and food banks are crying out for people and resources like crazy because there's so many people out of jobs. Right now, we are at the epic where we can get out there and serve. We don't even have to get out there totally, but just serve. We can do more than any other time in the world.
It's so true. And sometimes, another friend of ours that was struggling with COVID, we DoorDashed them some dinner. We didn't even have to be there, but it was this way of serving and helping. And, I want to bring up a point here because first of all, if you are listening to this, there is a reason. Go out today and do an act of service, or stay home and text somebody and do an act of service. Whatever that is, do the act of service. But I also want to give everybody on here an opportunity. I know we talked about this earlier, because this was I thought, how can I help people to feel important? How can I help them to know that love is making a difference in the world? What can I do? And here's the answer I got. Remember those children in Nepal I told you about? Well, shortly after we left, we found out that they needed $75,000 to build a new building. When Gerald and his brother had gone back and built the building after the earthquake, they had one room for the boys and one room for the girls. And the government came in and said, you need to be in separate buildings or we're going to close you down in 2021. And now Nepal's not like America. It's not like they're going to go into a foster care system. Like these kids would be out in the street. And I thought, 75,000 is so big. How do we raise that? How do we do that? Good news is we've already raised over $50,000. But
very good.
My thought was, if enough people donate just a little bit, it can go a long way. And then I started thinking about this concept also of coming together in this unconditional love and raising the frequency of the planet. And I had an incredible experience. I don't have enough time to share it now, but where my intuition guided me, and I was able to meet with Michael Beckwith, the leader of the Agape Church, and he helped inspired something. What we decided to do is on 12/12/2020 and 12/13/2020, we're having days of meditation and prayer. These are days where people can hop on and Zoom and just be who they are and come together with other people in unconditional love to raise the frequency of the planet. We're having amazing people leading these, like Michael Beckwith, who I mentioned, Master Co, Elliot Rowe, Alena. I would love to have you involved. I texted you earlier about this today.
I would.
But
have to talk.
We're having a Taoist leader on there, but it's all about just coming together collectively to raise the frequency of the planet. And for those who can, we're just asking for a donation of $44. And everything goes towards the orphanage. Every single cent, every penny people donate go towards. We've raised over $5,000. We need 25,000 more. For those who can't, they can just come and participate and join and know that just by being there for as long as you can, your vibration of love and frequency is going to raise the planet. And then that following week, on the week of 12/14, we're opening it up for people from all over the globe to share their healing techniques so that they can empower people to be able to heal themselves and others. And you can find more information at www.globalhealerssummit.com. But if this show struck a chord in you, if you want to make a difference, if you believe that love is stronger than hate, if you have $44 to donate that. If you don't, come anyway. It's on legendaryzoom.com Saturday and Sunday. You can just hop on there. If you want to donate the $44, you can go to the globalhealerssummit.com. But it's going to be fantastic.
Give it slower. Give the email. The website slower so that people can write it down.
Yeah, thank you. So the website is, and you have to put the www before, especially if you're out of the country. We have people joining us from all over. www.globalhealerssummit.com. That's healers plural. globalhealerssummit.com. And wonderful. For those, if you can't donate, but you want to join and you want to raise the frequency of the planet in love, then you can just go to the URL www.legendaryzoom.com. That's legendaryzoom.com. And just join in with us. That's all day Saturday starting at 8:40 a.m. and all day Sunday starting at 8:40 a.m. We're going to have spiritual leaders from all over the world leading us in meditation and prayer, and you can hop on. You will feel the frequency as soon as you hop on it. And trust me, it will heal you and you'll be healing the world at the same time.
You will feel it. I mean, it is an incredible feeling to have a massive amount of people all meditating because their vibration naturally rises. Yours does too. When you're you can feel it even on the Zoom, but when you're in a room, you also feel it. You just feel the electricity and it is a beautiful, beautiful. But the thing is, folks, that goes out into it's vibration. It's vibration, and vibration travels. So, I was once on Bob Proctor event when he was measuring energy and when you feel love and when you feel anger. And they had this fork thing, okay? You know, those measuring energy forky things. I don't know what they're called. Maybe you do. But
I don't, but I've seen them. Yeah.
yeah, they're big. Anyway, when he was feeling love, she kept having to back up and back up and back up. Soon she was off the stage, and it just was so big. When he was angry, the energy went in. And it was like the measuring thing was right at him. When we have that meditation and we're feeling that love and we're feeling that wonder and we're feeling just that amazingness, my God, it just travels. It travels.
Yeah, it does. And actually, just right now, I would love to do this with you and with anybody listening. Just close your eyes for just a moment.
Perfect.
And this is what I've learned is that love travels through frequency with Zoom, with radio waves. This is why your show matters so much, Alena, and everybody that's listening. Just right now, I want everybody that's listening, just put your hands on your heart. And I want you to just feel the love. Feel the love from me. Feel the love from Alena. And now I want you to allow that love to spread all throughout your body, all the way up to your head and all the way down to your toes, dispelling any fear or hate or negativity or anger. Just allow yourself to be completely full of love. And now expand this love to the aura just around you. So it's like you're in this bubble of love. And now I want you to expand it out to fill the entire room that you're in right now. Imagine filling the entire room that you're in with love. If there's anybody else in that room, imagine them feeling a little bit of your love. And now expand it to fill the entire structure you're in. Imagining anybody in your home or your apartment building or wherever you are, your car, feeling that love. Now expand it out to fill your entire town. Think of somebody in your town that's not there with you physically and imagine them feeling a little bit of that love. And now grow that love to fill your entire state or county or unit that you're living in. And now expand it to fill the entire country you're in. Imagining somebody on the other side of the country feeling that love. And all the people in the country feeling a little bit of your love. And now expand it to fill the entire world. And I feel that love right now. I feel you expanding your love.
Yes, I feel yours too.
Oh my gosh. And then just bring that love right back into your heart.
Yeah.
And that, you can open your eyes now, but just that simple exercise, could you feel it?
Yes, I could. That is fantastic. Yeah, you can feel that love. I hope everybody out there felt it. Did you feel it? Because that is powerful. And imagine all the people on that summit doing it. Imagine, but even if you're by yourself in your room and you do that every day, imagine what the changes you'll cause in this world.
I love that. And I really want to just leave with this one thing. And Alena, I just want to say thank you so much for using your influence and being a divine conduit of love for all of us listening on here. And this is what I want to leave you with. This is a quote from one of my mentors, Dr. Naram, who's a master healer. He worked with the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, many celebrities, many people from all around the globe. He said, "I am not here to teach you. I'm here to love you, and love will teach you."
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And that's really what it's about. It's really what it's love. I don't know if you know this, Allison, but I always, and my listeners do know this, I always say, and I even have a little plaque with it, spirit is love. And the more we open ourselves to love, the more we celebrate love, the more that we get rid of all the stuff that causes us not to have the love, and we just open fully to it, then, and only then, do we live totally with spirit.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I am so happy to have you on the show. This was a fantastic show. And the people, I think everyone just celebrate the love and feel the love in your life. Feel the love for yourself, feel the love for others. Whenever you're out, that service is a wonderful way to grow that heart. And when you do that, it'll change your life. It'll change your life. Yeah. And I really think it's one of the biggest ways to start loving who you are too. I really do. Oh, thank you for being on, my dear.
Yeah.
And guys, check out that summit, because that summit is a very wonderful, wonderful way to bring that peace, that love, that total lifting up. And think of how the impact you're also going to cause the world, on top of just feeling good yourself. How nice that is. And then also, guys, check out Soul Manifesto, because that's, that group with Green Tara. Tonight, I'm going to be up at Catapatry, and I'm going to be doing a wonderful discussion group. And you can join also on Zoom. If you are not in the area that I'm doing it locally, you can come in on Zoom. That's where we learn concepts like this and we apply them in our life. And the discussions are lively and fun and supportive. It's a great way to be. Check out Soul Manifesto. Check out the summit. You've got millions of ways to just start to feel the love. And I'll say it again, as always. Spirit is love. So guys, grow that, let that heart of yours just grow and grow and grow. And then you are with Spirit 100%. Isn't that cool? I love you all. Namaste.
This has been Magical Moments with Alena, featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, CastBox, Deezer, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast platform. Learn more online at soulmanifesto.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.